You guys, you can see? Good? Okay. First thing, we do it a little bit different. So, like Rosie just asked, it's different for boxing and for MMA. Depends on who that person is. Me specifically, I won't wrap differently. Um, I'm always going to wrap with your palm open. For a lot of times with boxing, guys will just wrap, and you'll have that pad in your hand also. Serves no purpose, just using a lot of gauze. So for me, I will wrap both hands the exact same, so this is open for you to be able to grab as if it was for MMA. Okay. One of the things that I will use are these gauze pads here, and we'll have these crinkle gauze pad. It just makes making the pad for your knuckle a whole lot easier. What you'll see from a lot of people when you go to fights is they'll give you gauze and tape. They'll give you more gauze, and you'll see coaches before they wrap hands doing this the whole time, trying to make this big old pad for your hands. Stupid, takes forever. Okay, so we will always use these unless we so happen to run out and I don't have it. But for these here, my hands at least, we wrap this 5 times. It's enough to give us 2 pads, 1 for each hand. And a lot of it is personal preference of some people like a lot of padding, some people don't. So they'll tell you, yeah, give me a little more padding and we can do that, where we just add another one of these. But remember, for amateur fighting, the boxing gloves is a little bigger. They're usually 12 ounces. For pros, they're 8 to 10, so that fit is a little bit more snug. So we want to make sure that we can get our hand in there. So we don't want to make it too big, even for boxing, for the simple fact of an 8-ounce glove is not very much bigger than your MMA glove. Okay, so just keep that in mind. One of the things that I will always do is always massage the hands, making sure. You're gonna do it. Start.
It's rough hands, bud.
Massage hands, making sure one thing with massaging hands, a lot of times what people don't do is I'll start trying to figure out if you have any joints or anything hurt too. Because as I go through and I'm popping and doing that stuff and rubbing, I've had where I've touched the knuckle and people will be like, my knuckle. Okay, so that would make me want to put more padding on that particular spot that's sore, just to make sure that we're getting that protected as much as possible. Depending on where you're at, some organizations will watch you wrap, or the coach from the other team will come and watch you wrap. You're not allowed to just go in and be like, oh, let me wrap your hands and get it done. If you're in Cali, you start wrapping hands and there's not a coach or an official, they're going to make you unwrap the whole thing. Doesn't matter. Nope, doesn't matter. They're going to make you unwrap it. Also, I know in Cali, there's a certain gauze. It's the only gauze they'll let you use. That's it. So it's kind of a pain. That's the time where you'll see also wrapping hands and stuff like that, trying to make that pad. If we do have to use this stuff here, like I said, you'll see a bunch of coaches just sitting there folding back and forth. Just wrap it around your hand. Wrap around your hand. Make that pad big enough to where you kind of have the same effect as you would with this. So if you end up having to do it, just make sure. If, let's just say, you have smaller hands than the person's hand you're wrapping, then we can just wrap this around their hand to make sure that the pad fits. So just kind of keep that in mind if you have to use this gauze, that you got to make sure that you get it so it fits across all of their knuckles. So Lexi and Erica, if you wrap Nick's hands and you use yours, it probably wouldn't be good for his knuckles. Okay, and we would just wrap, do all that, make sure we got a good enough pad. To where we can do the same thing that we would do is make a knuckle pad. Okay. So after we massage the hand, get all of that stuff prepped and ready. Then like I said, most fight cards will give you two of these and one roll of tape. That's all you're getting. Okay, so you got to either bring your own stuff or you make do with what you have. Okay, so usually when I'm going, I want to go when I start. I'm gonna start on the thumb side, and I'm going to turn my gauze so it unrolls from the top of it, not the bottom. That becomes a pain in the butt when you're wrapping around. So make sure I'm wrapping. I start off and go a little bit past the wrist, so not to where we're just right here on the wrist. Because remember, the other thing that we're trying to do is make sure that we have wrist support, right? So we don't want to just have it to where there's no wrist support and he punches or she punches and breaks their wrist.
How tight are you going?
Not very tight at all.
Is that tight?
So just a little snug. Because remember, right now, Nick's hand is like this, but when he flex, all of this muscle will flex. So if it's too tight, then it's going to be like, hey, my hands are turning purple. We got to cut this thing off. So just make sure that we're getting a snug but not tight. We would go up around the hand. And if it's easier for you to count how many times around just to make sure that you're getting it, do that. Whatever habit that you can form to make it easier for you, do it. Me, myself, unless asked, I don't wrap thumbs. Okay? Especially for MMA. I want your thumb free to be able to close and grab. If you have a thumb injury and say, can you wrap my thumb? Then we will. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll wrap 5 times here. Put the pad on. Make sure the pad's there. And then I'll wrap 5 times again. Then I'll fold, make a fist. Okay? So when we do it, we want to make sure that this pad is covering his knuckles. Okay? We don't want it way back here and his knuckles are exposed. I want to make sure that I'm covering his knuckles. Now, one of the rules is pad can be on the knuckles, tape cannot. Okay, so they'll tell you that when you go in to get it checked, it can't be tape on the knuckles. So we want to make sure that the pad is covering the knuckles, but when we put tape on, tape is not. Open back up.
Open up. Then
I go 5 again. To make sure that he has support, that his knuckles are covered. I want to make sure I get all of the knuckles covered, so he doesn't punch somebody and like, I just broke my hand because of that knuckle. Once I get to that point, then I'm going to go back down to the wrist. Five is a good number again. Now, just in case Nick decides, I want my thumb wrapped. Okay. So from this point here, when we were here, right, for the second time around, he wants his thumb wrap. I'm going to go, once I go, and I'm going to wrap. I'm going to wrap his thumb just to give him stability and support. So I'm going to start it so it's there.
Shit.
If you do that, life sucks. That's the last thing you want to do is drop.
So I'll make this work.
So now, close your. He has some support on his thumb. Open. To where it doesn't feel like it's just hanging in the wind. Okay? A lot of times for boxing, people will wrap this thumb. And it's like, why are you wrapping your thumb? It's inside of a glove where the thumb doesn't move. Okay? But again, to each his own.
Quick question. So you roll over right here, then you wrap again?
Yeah.
And then
because the other way, yeah, you're going to go
underneath.
And then you can go from there to the wrist.
Oh.
Got it?
Yep.
Now, get to that point. Leave all of your cuts on top. You don't want to be searching, trying to figure out where exactly you need to start your tape. So, first thing I'll do, I'm going to wrap first this down. And again, loose. This does not have to be tight at all. This is just giving me a base. Remember I said I want to leave his hand open. This part of his hand open, his palm open. If I was doing a boxing wrap, all of this would be covered. All of it. He would have gauze around his whole hand, right? So, two ways that people do this part. I'm creating this bar in the center of his hand. Two ways people do it. First way is they will use tape. Okay? And what they'll do is they'll measure from like knuckle to inside of his elbow just to make sure the tape's long enough. Then some people will fold their tape first and just have it so they have a tab so they can reach through and stick this tape to itself. This is, to me, it's kind of dumb. Okay? So then we would fold this tape in half or twist this tape, whichever one you want to do, to make our things for our knuckle. I'm not leaving this on here just so we're clear. And then I would stick this to this part of his thing and wrap it one more time just to make sure that this stays tight. And the next finger, shove that under there, make sure I'm through. Through the finger,
Is that too tight?
pull tight. The hand back. So now Nick holds that.
You son of a...
And then last one. When you start wrapping thumbs and doing all that stuff, this is why I hate it. I'm OCD, so this bugs the hell out of me. And you're causing restriction in MMA to grab. So, again, for me, if it's you want it wrapped because of just for security or you're hurt, no problem. We'll wrap your thumb. Again, not tight, nice and loose. We're going to cut these off, of course. Okay, then that leaves this bar right here in his hand, right? So as we get ready to put tape on this again, so now we start building the support, okay, to make sure that his wrist feels supported and all of that stuff. It's because it's driving me crazy. Now, these scissors will not cut you if you use them right. You didn't get it that bad. Someone wasn't paying attention and they were talking and they just kept pushing, and this part just went. It was like it was Carter. He cannot put tape on his knuckle. So when they come and check, they're gonna find out where his knuckle is, and they're gonna make sure. So it has to be 1 finger's width away from his knuckle. So if I were to put another line of tape on there, it'd be an illegal wrap. Okay, so I get that base down, and then I run a vertical base. Because when I wrap it, this will help stiffen up the actual wrap for his wrist. But when you have 10 fighters your hands are wrapping, this part goes away. Lexi, you didn't get this, I don't think. Did you? You didn't. Side of his hand, all the way to the other side. But you need to put more tape across here. So you have something to stick to.
Got it.
Watch out tonight because they stay home.
Right? Then angle, and I'm coming around and I'm wrapping the bar in his hand. Not tight. And I go around that twice. From that one, go back across. So I have this X on there. Okay? And we're not worried about anything this looks like. We just don't want it super loose. Because now we're going to wrap it. So you'll see 2 different ways. Some people will, as I go to wrap, they'll just wrap one thing. They'll say, open your hand, close your hand, open your hand, close your hand. Most of the time you guys have headphones on. I'm not doing that. Okay? So when I'm on top, I'm going to pull and put pressure. When I'm on the bottom, just loose. When I go back on top, pulling, tightening up on top. Nick should be feeling it getting tighter, but not too tight, because if I wrap tight on the bottom, it's going to start cutting off his circulation. Tight. Loose on the bottom. Tight. loose on the bottom. And then I go one more layer here.
Run out of tape.
Just to make it look clean.
Did he bring one from X?
Yep, make your
An X just
X down here, up, down there.
but does he wrap around? Do you wrap around for the X from when you come
so I go
across?
from there, wrap around this bar in this hand.
Copy. And not tight, but snug.
Yeah. And then cast it a little bit. Make sure remove his wrist without it feeling too tight. Then I will have you grab my wrist to make sure that you have a good grip, right? Even in boxing, I'll make you do it because what happens is we start squeezing and doing this stuff, and this starts pumping up. If that muscle's tight and this is too tight, you're going to be, like I said, I've seen people take their glove off and their hand is like purple, right? And during the fight, they lose feeling in their hand. So, but just making sure that he's good, his grip was good, make sure we don't have no stragglers hanging. I'll usually pull this bar just to make sure it's not too tight on the sides and to give him more space, hand space for him to be able to grab, right? Because if this bar is sitting in the middle, he's not going to have a lot to grab. So I'm just making sure that we're loose there. His padding is good. He's not too tight here, but he has support. And that's it. And then we rinse and repeat.
I just put the X.
Mm-hmm.
And then now
Now start wrapping.
Just start wrapping. Making it clean. All right.